today we'll be talking about Nightmare on Elm Street.
Bitch.
I can't think of Halloween without thinking of this movie.
It's very iconic. Maggots. I'm done, bitch.
Sometimes you just need some good kills.
I don't love just basically serial killers.
I prefer a horror movie that is somewhere I'm never gonna be.
The Dream Guy.
Bitch.
Welcome to Yestalgia. I'm Basil.
I'm Drew.
And I'm Amanda.
And today we'll be talking about Nightmare on Elm Street. Woo!
Happy Halloween, everybody.
I was doing Amanda's woo from the previous Halloween episodes.
Halloween.
So yeah, this is going to be the last of our Halloween episodes. Y'all should be hearing this on Halloween day, night, morning,
Halloween,
whatever. Happy Halloween!
Saying Halloween morning.
Yeah, that's the earliest you could hear it. Halloween morning.
Yeah.
Get up early, bust out your Ouija boards, watch the sunrise.
And listen to the new Yestalgia.
Don't forget, dress in costume. So we are doing Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm going to give y'all a quick summary. Teenager Nancy Thompson must uncover the dark truth concealed by her parents after she and her friends become targets of the spirit of a serial killer named Freddy Krueger. So that is what we are going to be talking about today. What are y'all's experiences with this movie?
So I'll go first since this is my pick. Well, this was not actually the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie I saw. I think I saw Dream Warriors first, but I think I saw this one when I was about 10 or 11, and I have quite a bit of experience with it. I've seen it many, many times. I watch it nearly every Halloween. So
It's your Halloween tradition movie.
pretty much, I'm quite familiar with it. So yeah, it's nostalgic for me because I can't think of Halloween without thinking of this movie.
I can see why.
That's about it.
All right. Amanda, do you want to?
Yeah, I've seen this movie. It's very iconic. I'm part of a generation that was sort of like raised by TV. I guess we're all raised by screens by this time, but this is another one of those movies, kind of like Alien, where I was just sort of allowed to watch it as an itty bitty kid. Funny because, again, like Alien, it didn't scare me then for whatever reason, and it didn't scare me now, but it still has a very treasured place in my heart. Very iconic pop culture comes from this movie.
Okay. I first saw Nightmare on Elm Street probably like mid to late teens, somewhere around there. I haven't seen it a lot. I've only seen it like maybe twice, I think, in my lifetime. I was really into Freddy as a villain, and I do really like the green and red striped shirt because that's cool. I've thought about purchasing one numerous times and I never have because like the thing is it really will not go in my wardrobe at all.
Oh, come on.
It really won't. I have exclusively like pastels almost, some black. I guess it could go with some of my black stuff, but it doesn't go with much else. Anyhow, yeah, it is a classic horror movie that, yeah, I've always pretty much liked since I saw it. So, yeah, y'all want to get into the nitty gritty?
Let's do that.
Yeah. Woo! I'm into it. Who wants to go first?
Once again, my pick kind of broke the mold a little bit. This isn't a horror comedy or horror musical. This is straight horror. And it's made different in a lot of other ways as well. I mean, of course, there's actual blood on screen. Well, not actual, but, you know.
Blood is shown on screen as,
not just a little trickle.
Or splatters or whatever, yeah.
I will say I got hungry in the middle of this movie, like real red alert hungry. And I was like, well, I guess I've got to endure it because there's no way I'm eating during this movie.
Do you really find this like really gross? I don't think it's that gross.
I have a very, very low disgust threshold.
Glenn had no problem eating.
No, I couldn't eat during this movie. I can't eat while I'm watching my beautiful, precious daughter suck on her fingers. I get disgusted real easy. So, yeah, this man being filled with gummy worms and Nickelodeon slime, I could not eat my chips and dip. I couldn't do it. Let me grab my notes. Hang on, I have notes on
His go-to move. Cutting himself and showing the result.
Showing the yucky guts inside that aren't really guts. Like, was it meant to be bugs? It
was
looked like
maggots.
it was.
Yeah.
Was it? Because
Yeah.
it looked more like spaghetti to me.
No, it was fake maggots,
I mean, that's
obviously.
I know.
80s graphic.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
80s.
Special
Yeah.
effects.
Yeah.
I'm at the Olive Garden and some stranger walks by my table and says, maggots. I'm like, I'm done. I'm tapping
So you hate Lost Boys, I take it.
Dude,
Sorry.
Someone could come up to me and show me live maggots directly in my face, 5 inches from my face, and I'll be okay.
You'd be like, I'm hungry.
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, I'll be honest, I was eating like basically half a baguette while watching this, and then I got really sleepy and fell asleep, as per usual. I went back and watched it.
Me and Drew are representative of the two extremes of disgust threshold, and Basil is right there in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we established that.
Yeah, there's a lot of blood, but I think because I'm so desensitized to 2000s horror movies, this feels like nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because I think for all of us, that's one of our kind of overlapping interest is horror movies, actually.
It is, and I will
Yeah.
not lie. I love horror movies, and I never get to watch them. Like, in my entire life, I've never had somebody be excited to watch horror movies with me. They always get discounted, right? Like, horror films always just get sort of like brushed off as like, they're like the trashy magazines of film, right?
Yeah.
At least that's
Yeah.
how the majority of people sort of see them.
Well, there's a thing, especially now with what is kind of considered prestige horror, there is kind of a look down on the more like schlocky stuff, which to be fair, I like both. And I think there's a space for all of it, you know, everything in between.
Yeah.
So like having a message, having themes that are beyond the horror of it is great, but you do not have to have that for me to still want to watch it.
Sometimes you just need some good kills.
Yeah.
Yeah, some worms and green goo.
Just something silly. And I'll say this is my preference in terms of antagonists for a horror movie. I don't love just basically serial killers. I hate those kind of movies because real life is horrifying enough. You know what I mean? I like it when it kind of pushes into something slightly more supernatural, you know?
A little bit of paranormal in your serial killer.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And we talked about this a few days ago, not on the podcast. I prefer a horror movie that is somewhere I'm never going to be, dealing with something I'm never going to deal with. I do not want it to be a real person. There's just a level of safety there when I can put my palm up and be like, Frederick Krueger, you have no power over me. I saw how silly you were. Drew, I will say, okay, you said this wasn't a horror comedy. And
It kind of is.
There were some parts where I was like, like I belted out laughing. And it was toward.
But when it came out, it was not meant to be a comedy. I mean, there are some, because that's the kind of character he is. He does one-liners, which sensibilities now seem kind of funny and ridiculous. But at the time the movie came out, I'm pretty sure they were being really serious. They wanted to be a really serious movie.
Of course.
They should have hired better actors. Sorry.
Yeah, that too.
If you want to be serious and also film for more than 32 days. But
yeah, that's wild.
Isn't that nuts? That's like almost nothing. That's so little. And, you know, like it's not necessarily better actors. If you're in such a short shooting schedule, you can't redo a take that often. You know what I mean? There's only so many times you can do that because you got the whole set and the whole crew, you know, they're working.
Who was the director of the movie?
Wes Craven.
Okay.
This is one of his pretty early ones, though. So.
Right. This was one of his very early ones. So it's not to say that this dude is not a brilliant movie director, because he is. Well, maybe brilliant is stretching it. The only thing that I can think of to put Wes Craven's name against, and I apologize, Wes, I know you're better than this, it's the Scream franchise. I know he is responsible for the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise and like some vampire movies. There's tons, but that's the majority of what I can think of.
Well, Hills Have Eyes was him.
The Hills Have Eyes. He's done a lot of what I consider to be newer stuff. It's newer stuff to me.
I think he just does more work now, basically after establishing himself through the 80s and 90s, you know.
I think he's dead as hell, ain't he?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so he's not working too hard right now. He's
No. I was saying, though, I realized I said it like it was now.
Then again, it is Halloween, so maybe he is up and working.
Ooh.
I didn't mean like now. I realized that that's how that came out. I meant later in his career, he was able to do more. Yes. Sorry. Did I even say now? I think I did. And that is not what I meant.
Girl, that's why I was like, does she not know?
No, I do know. Because it's been a while now, too.
2015, I want to say.
Yeah, almost 10 years then. Yeah. Onto the specifics of the movie. I don't think it's a bad movie or anything. I complained about the acting. This is not like, ooh, high art, mwah, you know? It's not.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked a little bit about this, that there is a place in the world for things that are not high art and they're still valuable, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of think about that with this movie.
This movie perfectly fits into that descriptor.
Yeah.
We got a very pervasive pop culture villain in Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
The whole phenomenon of him saying bitch casually at everything, it did not happen in this movie, but it happens eventually.
Right.
And that's sort of like what makes Freddy almost like, it's not that you root for him, but people are just like, you say Freddy Krueger and people are like, hell yeah, I'm going to be him for Halloween.
He's interesting. So it's personality, but it's also like the way he looks, right? Like, as I think part of that's too that it's not too hard to look like him, right? But that he has these very distinct parts of his costume. You know what I mean?
Striped shirt, the glove with knives on it,
Yeah.
and the hat.
And
You're
fedora,
good
yeah.
to go. Yeah. And if you just walk around going, sweet dreams, bitch, people will know who you're supposed to
Hey,
be.
Freddy!
Yeah.
I don't think you have to even say anything. Like the
No,
sweater,
no.
the glove, the hat, and you're good. Like
Yeah.
that's it.
Even if you're not, people assume that's who you are.
Yeah. You could like, even leave one of those out, I bet. And people would still, they'd know who you are, right? Because they are so iconic.
Yeah, that's all you need to invoke the image of Freddy Krueger, who is in the movie. There was a lot of parts of this movie that I did not remember. Like,
Yeah,
I
me too.
couldn't remember. I was like, what the fuck is Freddy's MO? Like, I know that he was in a boiler room, and I can't remember. And the answer was, and this sort of circles back to Basil, what you were saying earlier, he was just a serial killer.
Yeah, he was alive.
Yeah.
But now he has been transformed into something supernatural.
The dream guy.
Yes, we've added that extra layer.
And I'll say it is really clever. Like we were talking about the iconic kind of pieces where you can instantly recognize him, but it was, I don't want to say genius because I don't think that's quite it, but it was so clever to have your weapon be so distinct that it sort of produces a bit of a visceral reaction and it makes him more bestial almost. Which I think really helps with that sort of supernatural part, because even though he should just be like a man, right? Some guy, he is beyond that now. He has turned into like a literal monster, right?
Yeah, and his power is pretty much Freddy can do fucking anything, can't he?
Yep, in the dream world.
Yeah.
As long as you're asleep. He can walk through, prison cell bars. He can...
Can't do shit to you if you're awake.
Yeah.
Oh, nope, I don't want to go to the end of the movie. I'm going to shut my mouth.
So it's interesting because he is like almost like his powers become near godlike. It's only when you're asleep, which seems like, oh, nothing, right? But humans need sleep. You will go crazy without sleeping.
And on average, people sleep 1/3 of the day. So
Yeah.
Real quick, what is the longest that you guys have ever gone without going to sleep?
Oh, God. Maybe like,
You don't have to say why.
I would say maybe like not quite 3 days, somewhere under 3.
yeah, I can't do that. I think the longest I've gone without sleep is like 26 hours. I was taping a marathon.
I have gone 3 days, like 3 entire full days.
Yeah, I never got that far. Yeah.
I bring that up because at one point, Nancy, I think she tells her mom she's been awake for 7 days.
Yeah.
Going on the 7th day.
And I'm like, bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Right.
You would be debilitated.
Don't worry. The world record is 11 days.
Yeah, she mentions that. Even still, you are basically not unable to move. Like, the more tired you get, the harder it is to move. The worse you are, the more sluggish you are. She's still moving around pretty much like a normal person.
Right. You'll be fully uncoordinated.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's functioning just fine.
even with my almost 3 days or whatever, I was having a hard fucking time at that point. So I wouldn't recommend it. I was also much, much younger. I could never do that now.
If you look at like, because I did do this just for the purposes of this movie, because I was very curious, I looked at like the Sleep Institute's website and it was like, after 36 hours, you're going to be hallucinating and you're not going to be able to drive. You're not going to be able to tell reality from your hallucinations and da, 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 da. And I was like, no, it ain't like all that. But I will tell you, I was extremely paranoid. Like, I was extremely fucking paranoid. And I kind of used that as justification for why people kept sort of brushing her off. Not brushing her off. Yeah, no, they were brushing her off. Just get some sleep.
Yeah.
Just get some sleep.
And she's like, that's the problem.
Right.
And I know it is used as torture to keep people from sleeping.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it is a form of torture to keep people from sleeping. So yeah, it's horrible. So like her staying up for 7 days is okay. Technically, he only has power in the sleeping world, right? But he also has power over you when you're not sleeping because you are being tortured. You are being tortured in the waking world.
He seems to be able to do some shit in the waking world. Like, he strangled Rod.
With a
he
D.
strangled him with his jail sheets.
Yeah, that one seems to defy some of what I had believed initially about him.
Well, and also, he was able... Oh, man, there's just so much... This movie kind of gets into a mind fuck where you're like, was she asleep when that happened? And it was made to seem like she was awake, or was she really awake? I think there were other parts and pieces of this movie where he did something in the waking world. It wasn't major.
Yeah.
Well, I guess being choked by your own sheets in jail is pretty fucking major, but...
But it's not major in terms of, like, it doesn't go too far beyond the person sleeping.
Yeah, like,
Right.
he didn't pop out, like, his whole body and start slashing at people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a majority of what is physically happening to these teenagers is somehow connected to him doing it in the dream, whereas the strangling is sort of not like that.
Right.
So it doesn't fit with the other things. I got you.
This movie had some inconsistencies that were, for what it is, forgivable. It's just kind of like Basil, you said, there's a place for things that are wacky.
Yeah. I imagine some of the joy I get out of this movie is how kind of campy and dumb it is. You know what I mean?
It's campy. That's a great word for it.
But I do think had they had more of a schedule, had they had more of a budget, yeah, this could be like definitely an even better movie. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you could iron out those inconsistencies when you realize them.
Future movies are technically better than this one. This one has the nostalgia factor, the grandiose title of being the first. So
debut.
Yeah. But like I said, Dream Warriors was, I think, better than this one. I think a lot of people tout that as the best one in the series.
I don't think I've seen that one either. I know I've seen...
I'm going to tell you I've only seen this one.
Oh, are you shitting?
Yeah, you're doing yourself a disservice.
I have access to some of the others.
The reason that people find Freddy both scary and abso-fucking-lutely not scary at all at the same damn time is because motherfucker can do anything, right? And he's in your dreams. So he's out here doing some stupid shit, like turning himself into pizza. A good example from this movie is where towards the end of the movie, Nancy is on the phone.
Oh, and he licks her. Yeah.
He's out here doing shit like that on the regular. He's being silly as fuck. Yeah, he's fucking people up. Like, he's out here liquefying people, but he's being kind of a nutball while he's doing it at some points in time.
All right. I have access to the others. I will, or some of the others. I don't think it's all of them. I'd have to look. But yeah, I will watch them. But I think even without the other movies, even though there's like way more lore, it sounds like, and I have seen clips of some of them, like the pizza thing I have seen. And there is a certain amount of cultural osmosis we've mentioned before with movies, right? For me, there is a lot of cultural osmosis. I knew about all kinds of stuff in the Freddy universe from like The Simpsons or like, The Simpsons was a big one.
Like Rick and Morty.
Yeah. I don't really watch Rick and Morty, so.
I used to. I don't anymore. But the whole episode where there's this Freddy Krueger character that's like, I don't know, bitch. I'm just.
Yeah, exactly. He turns the whole bitch
Yes.
thing.
Oh
up to
my God, I
11.
do know that one though. I watched the first like 2 seasons or something. Yeah.
Scary Terry. Sorry.
Whoop.
That's the character's
Okay.
name. Scary Terry is remembered.
I think even if you kind of eliminate the kind of extra stuff that you get from further movies, this still holds up on its own.
Yeah.
My ex-boyfriend, this was a long time ago now, was such a bitch. And I was talking about how I thought it, like, and I still think it's cool, where Glenn gets pulled into the bed and then a humongous fountain of blood spurts out.
Yes.
And he
And
was
it
like,
never
that's
stops.
so stupid and ridiculous. And I'm like, yeah, and it's awesome.
But you both know how they did that, right?
Yeah, because they did a few like turning rooms, right?
Right, yeah.
A la Jamiroquai. Sorry.
They had to have created an upside down set that was identical.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
All the posters are turned upside down and they
Everything's,
pour the
like, taped.
blood from the ceiling.
Yeah. Yeah. They did the same thing
Sorry.
for Tina's death scene where it was a turning room. Yeah. And the guy playing Rod, actually, they had to tape down or like spray down his hair so that he was actually upside down and she was like on the floor.
Hey guys, how useless was he in that scene?
How useless was he in general? How much did he deserve to die a little bit? Just kidding.
No, stop. OMG. Tina.
Yeah. And he put himself in the corner. He didn't even try to go
Right.
to her or anything. That guy
And he
sucked.
didn't look that scared. Like
Yeah.
the actor himself, he did not even look that scared.
Yeah.
I don't think any of them really
That goes back to
did.
the hiring better actors thing.
Yeah. Tina did. The first girl, I think, is the
Yeah.
only one that looked like terrified most of the time. I mean, Nancy did some of the time, but I think out of all of them, Tina was the best as like a victim of, a
And her
scary monster.
creeping around in the body bag also scared me. I was
Oh
like,
God,
"Ooh."
yeah.
And that
That
was so
does freak me
simple.
out.
That
Yeah.
was so
I
damn
mean-
simple, wasn't it?
And that, and I was like, yeah, follow the girl in the body bag who's obviously dead.
Hey,
I mean, if it's dream logic, I understand. It's definitely dream logic.
logic.
Yeah.
I thought that
um,
exact same thing, Drew. I was like, what the fuck? Why are you
Why would you go
following
over there? It wouldn't have mattered if she went or not, though, right? Like he can do whatever he wants.
Well, maybe it would though. Maybe it would though. If she would have sat in her damn dream English class and been like, "I'm not gonna fuck with you."
He'd be sitting in the boiler room, tapping his feet, and
He'd just sit there waiting. I'm
And
waiting,
that's
this
what kills
bitch.
him. That's what kills him, right? Is being ignored.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. It would it would have killed him, I suppose. That's the
This
thing,
is
though. It didn't kill him, though.
What didn't?
It didn't actually kill him.
Well, she didn't sit in her chair and ignore him. She went
No.
and-
I'm saying at the end, he's not dead.
Oh, fuck, you're right. That's another thing that pisses me off. She had the answer. And it was so satisfying and climactic. And when she opens up the door, the birds are singing and the sun is shining. It's a little bit foggy, but mom's okay. And she's like, I'm going to quit drinking just because I feel like it. And there will be absolutely no, medical ramifications against that. and then the car turns into Freddy.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you not like that as the ending? Is that what you're saying?
no. I
Because
wanted
Wes
her to
Craven
continue.
also doesn't like that ending.
yeah,
Oh,
I-
he want-
I think that's pretty
Yeah.
goofy. That
He
whole,
wanted a happy ending. But yeah, go ahead, Drew.
So,
the whole mom getting pulled into the door through the
Mhm.
window. That was
Yeah. So bad. It's so bad.
yeah.
I love the 80s. Fuck, I love
Yeah.
the early 80s.
I love it for the nostalgia of it, but I don't like it as a scene. As an actual
it was
thing.
not done well.
Right.
Yeah. That's the thing. Some of the special effects are done fairly well. Most of them
Right.
are not. Not most, but yeah, I would say most. Some of the big ones are done really cool. And that's probably what they spent their budget on, let's be honest. And then when it gets to the smaller ones, it's like, oh, these are not
Right.
so
Let's focus on the big stuff and not really worry about the minutia.
yeah. Which, like, fine, I get it. That's, if I had a limited budget, I'm sure that's what I would
Right.
do too, right?
Yep.
But it is unfortunately like very noticeable at points. Like when they do the cutting Tina's chest, that is so obviously just a piece of latex, right? Like,
and it still disgusted me. I could not get my dip during that. So, can we just say there was somebody who had a funeral, and I think it was Rod. Yeah, it was Rod.
Yeah.
After he got hanged.
Mm-hmm.
There was one line of this movie that I was like, holy shit, wigs have been snatched. Do y'all remember the part where the preacher at Rod's funeral? First of all, I was like, why didn't we get to see Tina's funeral? Huh?
right. Well, because her parents were away, so I don't know if they got back yet.
Okay, it was like a white people funeral where they take like 2 weeks. So anyways, did the preacher say some shit like, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword? And then Nancy kind of like looks at her dad like, what the fuck? Like, oh, don't roast this man. He's already dead.
Yeah.
But he sucked, so...
Okay, but the priest was acknowledged that.
And he doesn't know that either, really, right?
Like, you should not. Yeah, no, the priest's job is to be like, real chill. That priest was like, no, I'm coming to it. This movie had a lot of parts that were funny that shouldn't have been funny. But it didn't diminish it, you guys. It's still so... It's not like a movie that I would want to watch over and over and over again, but it's still like, I'm glad I did that. Good pick, Drew.
Yeah, thank you. Freddy is definitely my favorite out of the big three. You know, him, Michael Myers, and Jason Voorhees.
How is Michael Myers even part of it? Sorry, he sucks. I'm sorry. That's probably a divisive thing to say, but we can cut that. He's just a guy. Okay. No, I would probably agree because like they were not necessarily trying to make a comedy, but they also weren't taking themselves like crazy serious. Do you know what I mean? Right. Have you ever watched one of those movies where it's not good and people are taking themselves like so fucking seriously and it's miserable, you know?
It's worse.
Yeah. Whereas if this is kind of a little more light, whereas in this case it is a little more light and it makes it fun instead of like a slog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it makes the bad stuff interesting and fun and silly, you know?
I also appreciated Nancy as a character, and I think Basil, you might chalk this up to bad acting. First of all, I think she was absolutely adorable. She was very, very cute.
I tell you, when I was a child, she's exactly what I would have wanted to look like. She had curly hair. She has light eyes. She's got freckles. She's got an upturned nose. I mean, even still, I guess I would want that too. Anyways, sorry.
But I'll tell you, to my brain, like, she invoked the image of like a future Amari. So I thought she was extremely precious. She did, in the version that I watched, she did have extremely like electric blue eyes, which kind of threw me off. The whole time that the camera was looking at her face, I was like, damn, those are some contacts.
They aren't. Those are her eyes. It's probably the color grading. Yeah.
Okay. It's got to be something.
Partly because, I'll tell you, never mind in a second. Finish. So,
and like I said, this could be bad acting, but I liked it on a female character. She was kind of like, I'm going to deal with this. And even her mom said, like, you face shit. You face shit. That's how you are. Sometimes you have to turn your back. And she did. She kind of like held this in and she told very, very few people. And she did not at any point, and I can't really explain why, not at any time did she feel like a damsel in distress.
She took action.
She read her anarchist cookbook and she set up all of these fucking Home Alone type scenarios. And she was like, you know what? I have asked my boyfriend 7 million times to help me, and every single goddamn time his bitch ass falls asleep. I've asked my dad.
Why'd you ask him the second time? I mean, I understand she didn't have many other choice, but why would you ask him a second time after the first time happened?
Yeah.
Right? I was like, you keep asking the worst person. So now what you gotta do, girl? You gotta fill a fucking light bulb full of gunpowder. That's what you gotta do. And she did it. And she did it all in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I liked her. She slapped her mom. No, wait, her mom slapped her.
Her mom slapped her, unfortunately.
Her mom slapped her. She threw her mom's tequila bottle or whatever the hell it was on the floor. And she was basically like, why don't you go get drunk about it? And that's when her mom slapped her.
Yes. Which, like, she just telling the truth, bitch.
Right? I liked her. She never, even though she was terrified.
She wasn't a passive character is the thing, because there are a lot of times feminine characters are kind of passive in their stories, right? Like things happen to them.
Right.
Yeah. And in this case, she's not using brute strength necessarily, and she isn't even fighting in the traditional sense, right? But she's trying to make plans. She's trying to make sure that something gets done at all times. Like she never is just like, oh, well, I guess I'll just go to sleep and we'll hope for the best. You know what I mean? She's always like, no, so we can do something about this, even if I have to do it by myself. She'd prefer not to do it by herself, but
I kind of did like the actress. Maybe it's because she was just so cute to me, but
yeah,
she felt kind of real to me. Like the whole part with her throwing her mom's booze bottle in the ground and then storming off and being like, no more bullshit.
Yeah.
Anyways, I liked her.
Yeah. Part of the reason I knew she had blue eyes in real life is she, as an adult, like a much older adult, like recently was on the show The Midnight Club, which was a Mike Flannery.
Oh, I have not seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it was supposed to be 2 parts, and the first part is done, but they basically could not get funding to do the second because fucking Netflix. But yeah, she was in that and she was great. She was a great character. And I was like, oh, fuck, it's the same lady.
The one good actor. Fuck you, Johnny Depp.
Well, what's especially kind of cool is that it's almost like a callback by having her in Midnight Club, because it is them sort of telling scary stories, right? Yeah, I don't like Johnny Depp at all. So we're not going to get into that because I could go on. I really could.
But be that as it may,
yeah,
I think his performance was pretty good in this.
It's like fine, you know?
Yeah.
He was the boy that kept falling asleep over and over, right?
Yeah, Glenn.
Yeah.
The boyfriend.
And he wore a crop top. Support men wearing crop tops, but not Johnny Depp.
He was very unrecognizable to me. Like, I barely clocked him. I was like, is that Johnny Depp? And then my brain was immediately like, no, it's not.
When I was young,
I think his voice and everything is still, he sounds like young Johnny.
He has this affectation now, and the way he styles himself does make him look like fairly different. But I knew it was him because when I was young, I had a big crush on him, particularly in Crybaby, which he looks almost exactly the same in Crybaby.
Was that before or after this?
I think it was after.
Way after. Yeah. This was, I think, his debut role, was it not?
I was going to ask that.
Yeah, I think this was his debut role.
Introducing.
Oh, yeah. No, it was like 6 years later.
Well, in that case, I think his performance was definitely good. For his first role?
Yeah. I mean, he was pretty young for the most part.
He made his film debut in the horror film A Nightmare on Elm Street in 1984.
Yeah.
Yep.
When did he do fucking 21 Jump Street?
Right after that, isn't it? Like 86 or something?
Yeah, you got 21 Jump Street.
87 to 1990. See, okay, not to go off on a tangent, but just real quick, I will say 21 Jump Street, even the mere mention of those words fills me with like a visceral rage, because when I was a child in the late 80s, when the 21 Jump Street theme song played on the television, that's when I knew Saturday morning cartoons were over. There would be no more. So I have been conditioned to hate 21 Jump Street, and by extension, Johnny Depp, and also for other reasons, but we will not get into that.
Yeah. When Rod was strangled, I'm kind of going back to that. Nobody tried to resuscitate him. Why the fuck didn't they try and resuscitate him?
It's the 80s, man.
Very bad cops.
Yeah, they were bad at their job. Or maybe they were like, fuck it, he's a killer, I don't care. You know?
Hang on, wait a second. Let me rescind my statement. They were very regular cops.
Yeah, that's fair. But even Nancy doesn't do anything either or say anything. And I think Glenn is also there. And they all just are like, oh, well.
Well, he's gone.
Yeah, it's like he literally just died. You could at least try something. Anything at all.
Oh.
Yeah. I was just like, what the fuck?
This movie had a lot of moments where you're like, I'm calling bullshit. Like when she was at the sleep therapist and she said something to the effect of, can't you just give me a pill to make me not dream? And someone says, there's no such thing. And I'm like, bitch, it's right there. It's called Seroquel. You got some in your pocket. Or it's called like a 6-pack of beer. Like, come on.
The doctor said everyone needs to dream.
Yeah, it is somewhat necessary. Okay. You can drink and you are still dreaming. You just don't know you're dreaming.
Right.
You don't remember your dreams.
Right.
That's not the same thing as not dreaming. In fact, it might be worse because you're even in like less control, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. In the case of Seroquel, nope, you ain't doing nothing. It's like you're pretty much dead. You're dead with a pulse. And you happen to be breathing.
But you need REM, which is the part where you're usually dreaming. If you do not get REM sleep, you basically didn't get sleep.
Hang on a second. By this movie's own rules, Freddy requires acknowledgement, right? He
Well,
kind of does.
that's the thing. He doesn't in the end, because that's a fake out end.
Fuck, that fake out end ruins everything, doesn't it?
That was just what the Dream Warriors of old thought. And that's how they figured they got rid of him. But that wasn't necessarily the case. It was how they got rid of monsters. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's true.
Yeah.
That's just what was in the book.
Yeah, that's the thing. Anything to do with that not believing, it's not the end, technically. It's a fake out ending. So it's not true. Or as far as we can tell, it isn't, because he doesn't get defeated by that.
Drew, I feel like you have fresher memories of this franchise than I do. I certainly don't have any. What was the movie that you referenced earlier?
Dream Warriors, named after the people of old that were mentioned in this movie.
Okay. Is there a part in this movie's timeline that do we ever figure out, like, what can put the fucking kibosh on Freddy once and for all?
No. They just keep trying, doing the same thing, basically.
But people escape, right? Because isn't Nancy in another one of them?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think she's in Dream Warriors.
I don't know. But that's the thing. People get away somehow, right? I don't know how, but they must.
Right, yeah. Like, Freddy can't be a perpetual fucking influence. Otherwise, I'm sorry. I'm just going to be like, kill me, guy. Just fucking kill me, guy. I'm done.
After a while, yeah.
They put him to rest in different ways. I haven't seen any of the other movies in a while either. But I usually bring this kind of thing up. I know Basil has to have explanations, but true explanation, sequel bait. They can't kill.
That was why they changed the ending, by the way.
Yeah.
Why the ending is not like the happy ending. So they could have sequels. I know.
I want to see Freddy versus Jason. Who wins?
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
Who are you guys rooting for?
Wouldn't it just be Freddy? Like, he's basically unkillable. Well, I guess Jason kind of is, but no, he's not. Yeah, because the only way for them to even fight would be in a dream or in sleep. So he would win, right?
I've only seen that one once.
I'm sorry, I'm just picturing Jason Voorhees passed out. He's passed out drunk.
I don't remember much of it.
And Freddy's like, I'm coming for you, bitch. Have you guys seen a picture of, I can't remember the actor's first name, but his last name is English and it's spelled weird?
England,
yeah.
England,
Robert.
thank you.
Robert
England. Yeah. What about him?
So I did my research for this. Okay, hang on. Let me rephrase that. I did some research for this movie because I had the time for it. And I Googled him, and the first image that comes up is just this sweet old man doing like a Freddy pose with his hand all up as though it was clad in a knife glove.
I mean, I'm pretty sure in real life he is just a sweet old man.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about him, but
he's 77 years old.
Back then he was a sweet oldish man.
yeah, kind of old guy. Yeah.
For our listeners, if any of you guys are afraid of Freddy, for real, no hate, no judgment, look up a picture of this man, like the actor. What did y'all say his name was? Something England?
Robert Englund.
Yeah. He's fresh.
Mm-hmm. I think he's done other kind of horror roles too. I don't really know. I don't know a ton about him. I know my friend probably still is very, very into him and stuff, but
he's done a lot of cameos.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Clout cameos, like, oh, you blink and you miss it, that was Freddy Krueger type shit.
I remember I used to watch the G4 TV show, Attack of the Show, and he came on as a guest I think he was promoting the newest, after a while, they made a couple new Nightmare on Elm Street movies. So I think he's promoting that on the show.
He hung on for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, was that cool? Was he cool? Was he cool as hell?
Yeah. He came on, he had a suit and sunglasses.
Aw.
I mean, there's only like one Freddy movie where he's not Freddy, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think there's might be a few.
Oh. Well, because I know there's like supposed to be like a remake of the original, which came out, I don't know, a few years? I can't really remember. It was recently-ish. Wait, he was or was not?
No, I think just the one.
There's one where the guy who played Rorschach in Watchmen is Freddy instead. Am I crazy? I swear to God there's one.
No, I remember that too.
Okay. And I know people were like, no, make it Robert Englund. Yeah.
Well, I read he's told somebody in an interview, he was like, I don't have the fucking heart for it anymore. And he shouldn't.
And that's understandable. Yeah. He's done a lot of work and he deserves to just relax at this point and do, things that are relaxing, but he enjoys,
Post on his Freddy money.
Yeah, I would.
Was it not hysterical, though, at the end of this movie? And I've been waiting to talk about this. At the end of this movie, Nancy does indeed home alone this house.
Yeah.
Mm.
She puts up a sledgehammer. She does some tripwire. She does all this shit. And you guys actually made me, I think, realize why it's supposed to make sense. It's because it's in the waking world. But I didn't understand this as I was watching it. I was like, I'm watching Freddy get bashed in the gut by a sledgehammer. I'm watching him roll downstairs on fire, which that part was fucking hilarious to me. I don't know why. Maybe I'm sick. I laughed my ass off when he rolled down the stairs on fire. It was like clownery. It was like clown acting. Like, I felt like it was supposed to make me laugh. I know it wasn't.
It was not in the script, I will tell you that, and not originally what they were going to do. The stunt man did it twice instead of just like falling and
So what you guys are saying is that because this was happening in the real world and not the dream world, that's what made him susceptible to all of these things? Because I'm sitting here like, girls got him locked in the bedroom.
I don't think she ever was in the real world at that point.
Well, okay, well then that fucks me up even worse because she locks him in her bedroom in anticipation of the sledgehammer trap, right? And he's like jiggling at the door, jiggling at the door, jiggling at the door, getting increasingly angry. And I'm like, bitch, you just walked through prison bars not 20 minutes ago.
The idea is supposed to be that, like, at least as an audience, we're supposed to believe that he is in the real world, right? That since she could grab out his hat, she could grab out him entirely into the real world, right?
I see what you're saying. And it's exhausting.
Yeah, like the ending undoes all of it is the thing. And, there could be an argument that he was playing with his food kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Beforehand, like giving her some sense of succeeding,
purity,
and then fighting, not only succeeding, but like fighting and then succeeding. And then he was like, haha, JK, like,
bitch.
Yeah.
I'm mad now.
Yeah, I do think it would be a better movie in some way, but like, I also think it's kind of dumb for him to be able to be defeated by like, just don't believe in him. Like, they didn't believe in him to begin with. He just started showing up. They didn't hear about him and then start having dreams. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is true.
So they didn't believe in him to begin with.
And also, what the fuck is up with the mom keeping, like,
the glove?
Murder souvenirs?
Yeah. Yeah, that was weird. That is really weird.
Anyways.
And also,
Hmm.
Glenn probably would have survived if Mom had just come clean to everything after the funeral. Because after Nancy
Yeah.
described the killer,
And she was like, oh my God.
yeah,
And
she knows what she's talking about. She had just said everything, then they probably could have figured out a way to save Glenn.
I mean, nobody was saved in the end, so.
Not really.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
So, you know. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of plot holes, let's be honest.
this shit
There
was buck
is.
wild.
Like we said, I'm pretty sure Nancy was in a future film. So
Yeah.
I guess that ending
Isn't
is
real?
not.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, if Wes Craven did that movie and he had more control over a later movie, he may just be saying, yeah, that's not canon. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And that's, I get it, you know, because like we said, this is one of his pretty early movies. He was not established in the horror genre in a way that he was able to kind of do what he wanted. To be fair, I don't think everyone should have free reign every time, right? Like there is a reason for people there to be like, hey, maybe this doesn't work or whatever. There should always be people like that. But
You need a continuity manager.
yeah, you do need that. But producers are usually the ones that kind of fuck up films, right?
Right.
Because they have too much power, let's be honest. But yeah, if you don't have the budget and you don't have, you know, the time, then these kind of things do tend to kind of go by the wayside.
So, but you still can't totally shit on this movie, even though you feel like you should be able to.
I simply love this movie.
Oh, no, I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I've never tried shit on it.
if you are zeroed in on its plot holes, okay, and you were zeroed in on the strange acting, and you were zeroed in on all the flaws of this movie, it is still important, I guess is the word that I'm trying to say. Well, you can't crap on it.
Part of the history of horror, right?
It came out in 1984.
1984. Yeah.
It sparked a wildfire of content ahead of itself. It's culturally pervasive. It's got a villain that is so iconic. You have to kind of like him a little.
Yeah, I mean, I think you don't have to like it. You know what I mean? There are things wrong with it. And I don't think even if you like something, there's anything wrong with pointing out flaws in something, especially this movie does have some big plot holes, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. You can still love it. There's nothing wrong with that.
It was still fun. Yeah.
Yeah. But I know I think that things that are originators, right, or early things or things that kind of prop up anything that is built upon it, that they can be respected, but you don't have to like it. You know what I'm saying? Because if I was someone else, maybe I wouldn't like this. And that's fine. It does not have the sensibilities of a lot of more modern horror things. It does not have, you know, the most cohesive plot as we're talking about it, right?
Yeah.
I think that respecting that this was kind of an early innovator is important still.
Gotta cut it a little slack.
Yeah.
Right. Plus, let's face it. We were all there when the ancient text was written, okay? At least I was. Basil, I think you might have been.
I was not, no.
Okay. I was there when the ancient text was written. So if I were to, not today, but in some years' time, show this to Amari, she would be like, this is ass. This is absolute ass. Because she does not have...
So here, you little shit.
She does not have these decades of
Appreciation.
cultural significance. Yeah, that I do.
Yeah.
She wouldn't understand, girl, Freddy is important, and I can't explain to you why.
Basically, this movie in a vacuum is not all that great.
Credible.
But
And, right.
knowing what we know, having been there, seeing it in the past, and having the reverence for it, having basically grown up with it, at least me, it gives that oomph it needs to become a quote unquote great film. You know, it's not actually technically great.
Precisely. And even the terrible sequels, like the one where he's a pizza and he's got like pustules that are oozing gross shit all over. I will never forget that. I will be on my goddamn deathbed and I will remember the Freddy Krueger pizza scene.
Is it at all like the one from Spaceballs where there's the pizza
I think it is.
hot guy? Yeah. Blech.
Yeah.
Gross. I guess because I think about other sort of areas in which people might not like something that is technically classic, right? Because like between the two of you, and even I'm going to put my own sort of opinion on this. In high school, you had to read what was considered classic literature, right? But you may not have liked it. And that's okay. Exactly. But like part of why they teach some of the books is they are predecessors to other things that like changing literature or, you know, styles of literature from the past or whatever. And I guess that's what I'm saying in terms of a movie like this, where it's like, if somebody's watching this and the way that have to read classics, like in high school, they might not like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you require someone to watch this movie
well,
under duress,
it's not even just that big. Okay. Well, Drew, did you? Oh, you were homeschooled. Did you ever have to read the classics?
Yeah, like Red Badge of Courage and shit.
None of those big ones.
Catcher.
I read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. Jules Verne. Love him.
Did you read? You have to read like Great Gatsby and To Kill a Mockingbird,
or Catcher in the Rye, or
Fiddler
Catch 22, Slaughterhouse-Five, Fahrenheit 451. Any of those?
Nope.
Lord of the Flies. Did I say that?
I never had to read that one. I read that one later of my own volition.
Me too. Yeah. So I did not read most of the classics in high school because I was a terrible student and didn't do anything anybody wanted me to do. And so what I did start doing later was reading the classics. And some of them I liked and some of them I didn't. You know what I mean? And so it isn't exclusively because one of the books that I had to read in high school was Slaughterhouse-Five. And I love that book. That is my favorite book. I have a tattoo that references that book.
Wowee.
And I technically had to read it, or I had to read The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. Also, hard read emotionally, but it is a fantastic book, right? So I don't think it's necessarily the have to, but it is your own taste and kind of experiencing these things where you're like influenced by who you are and your own experiences and just your own tastes. And I guess that all I'm saying is I do think it's important to respect these things, to give them some reverence in terms of what they've done for the future. But if you don't like it, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? And there are reasons to not like it, and that's okay. And it's okay if you still like it too. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You got to know and have the building blocks from the past to know what to do in the future.
Yeah, and to even improve in the future, you know, because you can see the flaws, you know what I mean? And you can see what they do right and keep those things that they do right and throw away the flaws, right? That got weirdly existential, I feel like.
You guys want to feel old?
No,
Sure.
But you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to inflict old upon you. So there is a scene in this movie towards the end where Nancy tries to call Glenn, and the phone rings and rings and rings, and her parents pick up the phone.
His parents.
Downstairs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you see where I'm going?
Oh, like landlines.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yep.
So then the dad, Glenn's dad, starts getting like suspicious of her, and he's like, I don't want her ass near my boy, blah, 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 blah. So he leaves the phone off the hook.
Yeah, and you couldn't call him.
Not in the cool way.
I know these words mean things to you guys, but to many, many people, imagine watching that scene and never having encountered a landline in your life, and you're like, why did the dad do that to the phone?
What the hell's going on?
Yeah. Yes. So back in the day with landlines, if even one phone was off the hook.
Can I tell you a story?
Yeah. We're going to tell you a story in case you're young. Yeah, if you left it off, people could not call you. It's why I used to get so mad at my mom, because she loves the internet. And back in the day, the internet used your phone line. And I could never. Telephone line. Yes, your telephone line that was directly hooked up to your house. And I could never get a hold of her because she was always online.
Everyone stop. You could be on the second floor of a building, not a building, I will say a home, okay? Specifically. You could be on the second floor and you
even
could
further
pick up the phone and be like, hello? And you could be talking and chit-chatting and like talking all sexy to somebody, and then your mom downstairs could pick up another phone and hear every fucking word that you were saying, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a personal anecdote, Amanda?
I think it is.
No. It would have more likely been my dad, which is somehow worse. But Amari asked me when we were watching Little Shop of Horrors, there's a scene, sorry to jump back to a previous episode, but real fucking quick. There is a scene where Audrey uses a payphone. And Amari was like,
God.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What is she doing?
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Tough to explain. That was a rotary payphone, too.
God, I remember payphones. My God.
Y'all remember rotary phones?
I do.
Girl.
Well, some of that is because when I was a little bit older and rotary phones were really out of style, I got locked out of my house. So I had to go to my neighbor's house and call my mom and be like, help, it's snowy and I'm locked out of the house.
They used to live like animals.
Yeah, I know. And the phone that the neighbor had was a rotary phone, even though it was like, I had not seen a rotary phone at that point in like 10 years or something. Yeah. So I do remember I've actually used one sooner than most people. But yeah, because I remember when Billy and I started dating, we would take the bus because we lived, within kind of city areas. So we had pretty good public transport. And there was a time where he was like, just get on the next bus. I swear I'll be on it. And of course he wasn't. And I had to use a payphone to call him, but I didn't have any change. So then I had to ask for change, but I was in a part of the city where there's a lot of people panhandling. So it took me forever because everyone ignored me. And I felt so humiliated the whole time. So it was like, God damn.
Yeah.
This is the worst.
It's like alien technology.
Yeah. I'm just glad that's impossible now. I'm glad that I don't have to ask people for 25 cents anymore.
Okay, the reason that I bring up the landline is because aren't they a fucking source of horror for folks like us?
Yeah, there's a lot now.
Mm-hmm. The call is coming from inside the house.
Yes, yeah. It's funny because now that we have cell phones, you can notice it in horror movies now. They're a little harder to tell those stories, right?
Yeah.
Because like everyone has a cell phone.
They have to think of a way to make the cell phone disappear for some reason. Like there has to be no signal.
And everyone's cell phone. Yeah.
Oh no, I shot my phone in the sink.
Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of thing. It pisses me off. It also, not to be a fucking grandpa on Maine, but it also made me realize how abusable people are through cell phones.
Like what?
You know what? I'm not even going to get into it. It's just the whole thing of like, you are expected to be Johnny on the goddamn spot constantly. Where here in this movie, we have this poor chick getting like murdered in her dreams and she can't do a damn thing about it because she ripped her landline out the wall.
Yeah.
I'm so old.
No, I remember landlines. I remember
spring chicken
payphones,
myself.
so I'm old. Yeah, we're all old people here. Speaking of age, there's a part where Nancy hasn't been sleeping and she looks in a mirror and she goes, I look 20 years old.
Fuck her.
The actress was actually 20. So she just looks her age. I was looking at her. I was like, she's definitely not a teenager, though. So maybe this is a joke. And I looked it up and yeah, she was 20, which is funny.
That's one of the classic cases of, these actors are not 14, 15, 16, however the hell old they're supposed to be, but you have to suspend your disbelief.
I mean, I will say they did in this particular film, because we've seen other ones in the 80s where people look like they're 30, right? Like nobody really looked like that. None of the teenagers actually looked 30. They looked a little bit older for sure, but they did get people who mostly had pretty young faces.
Another thing that I noticed was that the boiler room scenes, the boiler room was always dripping.
Ugh, yeah.
Which reminded me of Alien.
Yeah. Where we were like, it's dirty water.
Right. So that's what I was thinking, maybe that part of the ship was the spaceship equivalent of the boiler room. Would make it a little more sense.
Drew, oh my God. Wow. I was not going to bring this up because I was like, this is going to be a tangent and nobody else is going to know what I'm talking about. But you fucking nailed exactly how I was feeling during the boiler room scene. I was like, man, don't these early 80s movies, and I guess in the case of Alien, late 70s movies, have some sort of the word I'm trying to say? They all follow a sort of schematic, don't they? Like, think about Labyrinth. Has the same sort of, like, I'm going to go down to the dirty place now. Like, there's always some, like, wet, gross, dirty place that the hero has to go down.
I think these all are something that people have been talking about in terms of things being scary is in like liminal spaces. Like they feel like you shouldn't be there because this is just a space between spaces.
To me, it kind of like feels dangerous. Like when shit is wet and also kind of, I don't know, humid. I don't know what it is about humidity that seems like evil. It's humidity.
Yeah, small, moist places that probably shouldn't be moist.
Yeah, I get that. I do get that. But I do think, like, at least in the terms of Alien and this, they do feel like more liminal places. You know, there's not a lot of people. It feels like a part of a building you're not really supposed to be in. You know,
Rooms.
That last boiler room scene. That was actually the part of the movie that I remembered the most vividly. I was like, oh shit, I remember this part. Yeah, I don't know. It hits hard in the psyche. Good picture.
It reminded me very deeply that the boiler room of, this is going to be a dumb tangent, but my friends and I were writing a horror musical in high school. We never did it. It never got done, you know, like but we were trying to figure out like, where are we going to shoot it? Oh my God, my friend wrote songs. They were so good. It was called Zombie Dead Presidents. Anyways, there was a high school that one of our friends, well, actually several of our friends went to, and their library had these stacks, and it kind of looked like the boiler room in that it had those like grates for each floor. And the only time I went in there, it felt creepy like that because there was nobody in there. And of course, in a library, it is very quiet. So yeah, sorry. When I saw the boiler room, I was like, that looks exactly like blah, blah, blah's library.
Place from your past.
Yeah.
You know what I got out of that story?
Yeah.
We need to get a Kickstarter going to fund that play.
To finish it up.
I would have to like get my friends from high school. Yeah, my friend wrote a couple great songs. We had all these ideas. And then, yeah, like it never, because none of us had like a camcorder or anything. This was sort of this pipe dream of things where like you and your friends egg each other on about all this cool stuff. And then like nothing really happens from it. You know what I mean?
What did Shia say? Don't let your dreams be dreams. Just do it.
Sweet dreams, bitch.
God damn it. Anyways, I don't know if I have anything else more to say. Yeah.
Let's put some stank on it.
Yeah, you have anything else, Drew?
I was going to say, let's put this to bed.
Ah. Yeah, I did fall asleep during this, which I thought was so funny when I woke up partway through and was like, oh, hey.
He violated the main rule.
Yeah.
Freddy could have got you.
I had eaten a lot of bread. I get sleepy when I do that.
Come on, Glenn.
Freddy can fucking have my ass.
Okay. Anyways, do we want to do our yes and nostalgias? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Cool.
This was a very happy Yestalgia for me. I actually, Drew, when you suggested this, I was kind of like, oh, because I felt like I had seen it and experienced it and gotten all the mileage that I could out of it. But I love seeing things with an 18 wisdom. It changes the whole game. Seeing this today, after so many years, this was not something that, you know, I was like, oh yeah, I saw it like 6 years ago. No, I saw this like fucking, I don't know, 20 years ago, more than that, maybe 30 years ago. I was expecting absolute crap. I'm not gonna lie. What I got was pretty dang good, pretty entertaining. There was a little bit of crap here and there, but I still really liked it. That's all I got.
Cool. I'm going to give it a Yestalgia. It is a little soft because I'm going to be honest. I forgot about the stuff where it's like huge plot holes and there's some stuff where it's like, this doesn't really make any sense. The acting's not great. And I had kind of forgot all of that, if I'm being perfectly honest. And the other thing is, like, the reason it's soft is because I can definitely see someone not really enjoying this. However, if you do want to watch it, go into it knowing it's kind of dumb, it's kind of campy.
Yeah.
Go in trying to have a good time, essentially, because, like, if you are going to go in and try and take it very seriously, you are not going to have a good time and you are really not going to like it.
Yeah, do some shoulder rolls.
I think that this film has a lot of good things, too. soft nostalgia, but Yestalgia nonetheless.
It's hard as hell, isn't it? It's hard as hell to put a finger on why this movie is okay.
Yeah.
Almost as hard as my nostalgia for this movie.
Go for it.
I loved it. Like all my picks, except for that one. I loved it. I love it. I will continue to love it. If you ask me to watch this movie every day for a week, I would gladly do that.
All right. So that's a hard Yestalgia.
Yes, hard.
Hardest of nostalgias.
All right. So that has been our episode on Nightmare on Elm Street. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye, bitch.
God damn it.
She got a great ass!